The apocalypse wasn't enough?
That's life for you.
Did anyone else get voided, or is it just us?
Yes.
I was tinkering with technology.
I was collecting obscure VHS tapes.
I was cosplaying.
I was destroying my hands.
Greetings! I have summoned you all because I want you to talk about the 3DS.
This has to be a dream. Can someone pinch me?
Okay, who would like to go first?
Well, I might as well start us off. At least this is far better than how I expected to die.
Sad.
Alone.
Aren't those the same thing?
Yes.
While the 3DS isn't the most important system to me, which belongs to its predecessor, I still hold it near and dear to my heart, seeing as I got the original 3DS XL way back in September 2012, during my 9th birthday. Waiting for about 2 years finally paid off, especially after my original DS Lite suffered an unfortunate accident. But whatever. Now that I have this brand new system, or had, what games did I get with it? Nothing. Yeah, so because the 3DS itself costed plenty of money already, I'd have to wait a bit longer, like until Christmas, to get my hands on actual games because, you know, that good old R4 flash card did not work on a 3DS, to my utter dismay. So I was limited to the 2 DS cards I had. Thankfully, that's where the built-in titles came to save the day. Face Raiders was the one I used the least. I still had plenty of fun with it, don't get me wrong. The concept of just taking random ass pictures and having to fight them was weird, but cool as shit. But I hate to admit that I didn't come back to this often due to the Face Raiders themselves just scaring the hell out of me. But the AR cards, that shit was fun. I spent far more time on this. And for those in the unknown, the 3DS systems that you got usually came pre-packaged with these little cards. And with these cards, you could basically launch the AR cards app and in the system and just do a whole variety of things. Sure, like Face Raiders, it's basically a huge novelty, but it was way more fun and less terrifying to use these cards and just screw around for, you know, God knows how long. Sure, it's all in the 3DS and you can't just print the cards if you don't like them, but it rocked, so who cares? And also, I love the little boxy guy in the banner, and I will protect them with all my might. And then, the Street Pass Me Plaza, or Street Pass Plaza, whatever. The one I spent the most time on because, well, to keep it short, this basically lets you meet the Miis of other 3DS owners, but you have to keep your 3DS on sleep mode, and then you have to hope that it managed to be other 3DS owners as well. Which, well, come to think of it, the 3DS did encourage going outside a lot by having like this feature and the play coins, which basically were these coins that you could like, they were locked to the amount of steps you took outside while the system was in sleep mode. What were they used for? You'll see, but I have many fun memories of just running around the house to get those damn coins because my parents wouldn't let me just walk all willy-nilly outside with a 3DS, which, well, I was like 10 or something, so fair, but doing this inside the house method probably made my parents think I was crazy. Anyways, Street Pass Plaza wasn't just a plaza, but it was also where you could play these little games with the Miis you met. The app itself came with Puzzle Swap and Find Me, but later down the line you could buy other games as DLC, which I won't cover because there's a lot, but the former Puzzle Swap being a game where you could basically just collect puzzle pieces from other Miis to complete your collection, and completing a collection led to these really cool slideshows and like videos of these puzzle pieces you completed. It's really cool. Some are better than others obviously, but I don't care, these are cool as fuck to collect. And then you had Find Me, which was basically like this simple dungeon game where you basically use your collected Miis to rescue the king, which is being your Mii. These games are nowhere near complex, but they don't have to be. They were just simple games that encourage you to go out and, you know, actually meet people. Or just past 3DS owners. You don't have to interact, so hooray for the socially awkward. And as a result, I found myself either going out with my 3DS often, or, you know, how often I could, because, you know, my parents didn't let me do that, so I just have to sneak my 3DS in my bag. I was definitely a brat back then, I'm sorry mom and dad. Or, you know, just meeting up with my friends to play those little games a bit more. Sure, you could use play coins to basically buy your way to victory, but it's really only useful in Find Me, and it's kind of ass in Puzzle Swap because you would just get duplicate pieces, and it's like, why? Ew. But aside from that, the Triad also had a shit ton of other things crammed into it, and that's not even mentioning the other stuff you could download, like Swap Note, which basically let you send drawn messages to another person via Street Pass. It was sadly ditched after that, but I refuse to forget about it. It was still important to me. But enough about the built-in stuff. I could be here all day if I kept on going, but as good as they are, but this is a game system. So what about those damn games? The first games I remember getting from 3DS were Mario Kart 7, New Super Mario Bros. 2, and Paper Mario Sticker Star. I spent a lot of time with Mario Kart 7 mainly because there was an online mode, and younger me loved the concept of playing with actual people, and not just bots over and over. I also spent a good amount of time in New Super Mario Bros. 2, surprisingly. Despite it being a weak game if you ask me, the corners mode still coming back because it just had a lot of replay value, and it actually kind of justified the whole coin gimmick. But then there's Sticker Star, the game I got as a gift and beat twice, and it's still the only Paper Mario game I've actually beaten. That travesty aside though, the two other games I remember playing the most were Super Smash Bros. And Mario & Luigi Dream Team. Super Smash Bros. On the 3DS is a very personal game for me because being a kid who was practically raised on Brawl, I would always kill for a version of that game on the go, and my prayers were answered in 2014, so thankfully I don't have a body count. Smash 3DS is likely the 3DS game I spent the most time on because I begged my mom for this game. And she did order it for me at launch, but I wasn't able to play it until Christmas of 2014, so you know, that was a fun wait, but it was worth it. When I wasn't getting absolutely decimated playing online, I was either playing the classic mode with almost all the characters, or playing Smash Run alone way too many times. It really was the 3DS game for me. And then there was also Mario & Luigi Dream Team, and I don't like this game. I just remember being hyped for this game, and I was playing the demo so much over and over again because it was just the bosses and it was fun. I feel bad because I managed to drag my friends to Toys R Us just to get this game at launch, and you know, I was so excited and it ended up being, you know, bad to me. But whatever, that's how it is with games. Not all of them are gonna hit. But regardless, like with the DS, I did often have game nights with the system due to the power of many sleepovers and fights. But unfortunately, the 3DS didn't really have a ton of download play support. Like, don't get me wrong, the few games we had that did have download play support, like Mario Kart 7, were great, but a lot of the local multiplayer on the 3DS just required everyone to have a copy of the game, and it was a hard sell back then, at least for a bunch of kids my age who are like 10 or 11. Compared to how many DS games had download play, and well, yeah. Thank God for backwards compatibility. But remember when I mentioned playing the Dream Team demo earlier? Now, I've already talked about the 3DS eShop in another video, but I didn't really talk about my personal experiences with it. To me, the eShop was basically my second home on the system. I would often just like visit the shop to see the games I could never get, because convincing my parents back then to use their credit cards on the digital storefront was basically impossible. But thankfully, the oodles of videos and free demos got me covered, especially the demos, because I checked every damn day to see if there was like new demos. There usually wasn't, but that wasn't gonna stop me. Besides, what else was supposed to do when the demos ran out of place? Because that was a feature for some reason. Anyways, alongside the eShop was Miiverse, and this doesn't need an introduction. It was Nintendo's attempt at a social media service for the Wii U and 3DS. It was a huge dumpster fire, it shut down, but I loved checking this back in the day because the concept of chatting with other real people and not just playing against them in some game was huge for me back then. And looking back at it, I definitely should have not been browsing this app at the ripe age of 9, but what can you do? It's a miracle I'm not a total mess right now. And Miiverse was never gonna last because it shut down in 2017, and that was only the start because, well, as you know by now, when Nintendo stopped supporting their consoles, they slowly strip away the online services and features for them, like with the DS and Wii, and the next consoles, the 3DS and Wii U, were no such exceptions, because the eShops went down first, and then the online service, Nintendo Network, following next. And the eShop shutdown was already sad, but during the Nintendo Network was basically the big one because, you know, all the online would get gutted. And during the last year or so of Nintendo Network, I managed to invest in a Japanese U3DS XL, and I even got a capture card installed on it. And I haven't used it to death. I'm still glad I was able to get it just in time for the last day of Nintendo Network. Unlike some people, I couldn't really afford to stay on the service the whole like day or as long as I possibly could because college, but I was able to get some last moments on Splatoon with the Wii U, and then I spent the last hour or two on Mario Kart 7. Yeah, it was certainly one of the fonder experiences I've had with the 3DS, and it's hard to think it was like it was a few months ago now, but it's fitting that the last online race was basically we were able to complete on Mario Kart 7 and Nintendo Network was Rainbow Road, and the music just hits even harder now. But sadly, the race after that, the game just immediately kicked us out when the shutdown time hit. Assholes. Obviously, the modders have made an effort to restore these services, and while progress is slow, it's showing a lot of promise. These are a few people and not a whole corporation. But speaking of, the mod community for the system is insane. You've heard of how easy it is to mod 3DS, but just for the sake of it, I'm gonna link a guide down below for those who are interested, and know that there's a ton of stuff you can do with a mod 3DS. Not as much as the Wii, but certainly more than the Wii U. I'm not sorry, I guess. There's also a ton of other things I can talk about regarding the system, but if I did that, I'd be basically hogging all the screen time for the others, and well, I'm already probably going past my allotted time, so regardless, while the 3DS isn't the most important game system in my life, it's certainly one of them.
Okay, so funny story. Before I got the 3DS, me and my sister previously had a DSi XL. However, because my spoiled baby mind was an asshole, naturally, I thought it was a good idea to break it. And that was when I got the 3DS, except it was more so for my sister. Despite that, I can't deny how much fun I am having and the memories I've created over the years with the 3DS. I've been pretty much playing it almost my entire life. I was playing the 3DS and DS games a lot on this thing, and still am to this day. Now, I don't remember what I was doing from 2011 to 2014, so I'll just skip to 2015. I remember I was playing Squiggle Pens like crazy. Well, not crazy, but rather I would play it whenever and have a good time. Oh yeah, I was also messing with the 3DS camera app, but I was just only looking at it to view photos that were taken. I was also playing other third-party titles here and there, like Monsters Highest Ultimate Roller Maze, though I don't have much memory playing that. Oh yeah, strangely, I still remember how I held the 3DS back then and some very specific stuff. The wireless feature was disabled because I didn't know what a wireless was. The 3DS thing was at a default white and it didn't hold the 3DS the normal way. It looked like this. Now, going to 2016, I feel like this is where things started peaking. I was playing Yoshi's New Island, albeit I don't have much memory playing it in 2016, but I will say I was playing Animal Crossing New League 2. Speak of New League, it was somewhat fun, but after something, it was feeling boring. I thought this was because I was not Mayor. Yes, my sister was Mayor, not me. And well, fast forward to this time, and apparently New League was still boring even as Mayor, so I guess my question will remain forever unanswered. Anyway, a few months later, a couple days after my birthday, I got 2 new 3DS games as my present. The first being Mario Kart 7. Now, I had a lot of fun with Mario Kart 7. Keep in mind that I never knew multiplayer was a thing, so I was just playing single player, mostly Grand Prix. I think the difficulty I played the most was 50cc, since that was, well, you know, easy. But I do remember playing 100cc and it was somewhat challenging, but I did manage to pass some cups. 150cc just seemed too hard for me, so I barely ever played it. The character I would use for the most part up until the 2020s, I believe, was Yoshi. As for what body of the car, wheels, and glider, well, I pretty much would mix them up, so I still play Mario Kart 7 to this day, except nowadays I'm pretty much using the online feature. The other game was SpongeBob Hero Pants, a video game based on the SpongeBob movie SpongeBob Out of Water. I don't even remember playing it in 2016, only during the 2020s, but according to activity log, which the first play date is 5 years off for some reason, I played it in 2016. Well, that doesn't matter because let me tell you, I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and as a result, I was just lost. So I barely touched that game again until 2023. Oh yeah, during all this, I was hooked into another 3DS game that me and my sister played a lot, and that being Tomodachi Life. This was the #1 game I played during that year. Seeing basic departments, solving tasks on what they would need or want, looking at the amusement park, to just messing around and see what else they had to offer. I remember that I took a shit ton of photos. I even took so much to the point that the game yelled at me, "Oh no, you gotta remove some photos, bud." Although that was during a year later, but still. Fast forward to Christmas of 2016, I got more 3DS games. These being Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS. Also did get Mario Kart DS, but DS games are topic for another day. Funnily enough, I asked for, I believe, 2 different versions of Tomodachi Life by Christmas. I don't remember why I asked that though. Oh yeah, this was also when I discovered the wireless feature on 3DS. I connected to the Wi-Fi and I got special items in Tomodachi Life. I should also mention that my sister was playing Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. Funnily enough, all the answers are intact and even the amiibo card too. Personally, I wasn't really interested, but the concept of designing houses for animals sounds tedious. Now, going to 2017, not much was going on. The only 3DS titles I was mostly playing during this time was Mario Kart 7 and Tomodachi Life. I was still having fun as usual. I also got Super Mario 3D Land, but I wasn't doing much with the game. And then, one day, I saw a YouTuber that was streaming a game called Miitopia. Watching the gameplay made me want it so bad, so I begged my mom that I wanted Miitopia for Christmas, and I got it. I was excited and I was immediately hooked. More on that later. I should also mention that I got a stylus during November, albeit a third-party one, which looks darn near close to original. It's just that the Nintendo logo is not there. For a long time, I've been playing this for 3 years without the stylus, and I was pretty much relying on my fingers for games that you'll ask the touchscreen. Anyways, 2017 was also the time I got a Street Pass for Mario Kart 7. It's basically some French dude. Also got puzzle pieces for Street Pass Meat Plaza, but I don't think I used Street Pass Meat Plaza much. Not until 2024 was when I started using it more. Now when 2018 and 2019 came, again, not much was going on, but I was having the time of my life. Mario Kart 7, Tomodachi Life, and Miitopia as usual, but I was having way fun with Miitopia. It was basically the video game. I could talk about Miitopia for hours on end, battling enemies, rescuing people still in the faces to complete every quest as much as I can. It was a blast. I was hooked more than ever before. I would play for like hours until the battery got low. Eventually though, I did get more games during Christmas of 2018. These being the LEGO Movie video game and a port of Luigi's Mansion. Funny thing is, I only recall one of my cousins playing the former, but this was during 2019. I assume I played the LEGO Movie video game before, but not that much back then. I was pretty much playing LEGO games on the PS4. During 2020 and 2021, I was barely playing 3DS at all. I pretty much kind of lost interest in video games mostly during 2020. The only 3DS title I played during 2020 was Miitopia, or at least according to Activity Log. 2021 did see me having interest in video games again. Was still playing Miitopia, which, shocker. Though there is still some moments of me playing Mario Kart 7. Now, 2022 is where things got interesting. I got 3DS themes for the first time from the theme shop. One was some Sonic theme and one was a My Nintendo Isabelle theme, but that isn't the main reason why I said 2022 was interesting. After hearing about the 3DS and Wii U eShop closure, I had the feeling to mod the 3DS. I already did with the Wii, so why not 3DS? Before modding, I watched video tutorials, but they were just more so entertainment for me. When I actually began modding, I made sure to use a text-based guide as it was far more reliable. After modding the 3DS, I felt a bit proud of myself. I discovered some interesting homebrew apps like the Flappy Bird clone, 3D Space Cadet Pinball, Twilight Menu++, and even Virtual Console Injects. There was also some themes that I thought looked interesting. 2022 was when I also discovered more about the 3DS. Nintendo Zone was a thing, Activity Log exists, and I can even cheat in AR cards, but as well, not having the card physically. I even discovered Face Raider, so that's something. You might be wondering, how come you never knew these existed? Well, to simply put, I was pretty much only playing cartridge games. This was also the year I tried the online service of Nintendo Network for the first time. I only recall playing Mario Kart 7 matches during that time. Oh yeah, I was also playing Virtual Console 2. 2023 was when I started playing some games that I have not played in a while. Mario 3D Land, Luigi's Mansion, Not Dark Moon, SpongeBob SquarePants, etc. Aside from that, I did learn that I could dump my cartridge games, so I said dump them. But also, while I was dumping my cartridges, I was able to discover what files are inside these 3DS games, and they were interesting. 2023 was also when I discovered the world of Pretendo. I didn't use Pretendo much because Nintendo Network was still a thing. I also used Swap Duel for the first time. Me and this green little goblin would draw country flags and send flags to each other. I was also using the Nintendo Network service a lot more frequently thanks to a certain Discord server, albeit it's mostly just Mario Kart 7. When Nintendo announced that Nintendo Network and Spotlights were going away, a lot of people were hit hard. I was a bit saddened. I was still pretty new to Nintendo Network as a whole. Keep in mind that I was not using the online service run through 2022. I was still playing single player all by myself. 2024 is sure something. Like 2023, I also play some titles that I have not played in years, these being the LEGO Movie video game and SpongeBob Hero Pants. I also started the Pokemon series this year with the Virtual Console release of Yellow for the Game Boy Color. I even tried other titles like the port of Cave Story 3D, Angry Birds Trilogy, and 3D Sonic the Hedgehog, which is just a lame port of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 for Genesis. Remember like 2 seconds ago when I mentioned that the Nintendo Network service was going away? Yeah, so I decided to spend the last final moments of the service there. The game chosen was Mario Kart 7. This was taking place in a community lobby. And I actually got Mr. Sticks to race with me during this final moment, so that's something. When the play was pulled, everyone got kicked out. Communities everywhere were screaming. It was the end of Nintendo Network. I respect the folks at Pretendo working hard behind the scenes trying to make the service complete as possible. After the shutdown and pretending, meanwhile, I was pretty much playing the usual 3DS titles. As of writing and recording, I'm more so playing the third-party titles.
Oh, and during April of 2024, I purchased a 128GB micro SD card. The main reason I bought it was mainly due to the fact that I was lacking space as I was dealing with a 2GB and I was getting tired of it. I was also not able to dump most of my 3DS cartridge games because of that. Oh yeah, I also tried this one Thomas 3DS game during June and it was something. 2024 was also when I discovered I could do so much more with the 3DS sound app than just making silly 10-second recordings. You could even put songs on there too. I also like to mention that I've been enjoying receiving Street Passes thanks to Nintendo Street Pass Relay feature and a thing called NetPass, which is basically Street Passing but via the internet. And that's it. Overall, to sum it up, the Nintendo 3DS is sure a fun console to me, and I pretty much get nostalgia here in the default home menu, but I also get nostalgia from other titles too. As I said, I can't deny how much fun I can have playing this thing. I'm honestly surprised this thing is even surviving despite this thing being with me since 2011. The amount of times I've dropped this thing accidentally, it still surprises me on how this 3DS can survive. You expect it to break, but no. This shit built like a Nokia phone. Anyway, one thing I want to accomplish before my 3DS dies is to finish or complete every single game I wanted to play on this thing, and that includes DS games.
Right. I guess it's my turn for this, huh? I got my 3DS back in, I believe, July of 2011, give or take. It was a console I saved up for personally, much like a lot of the other consoles I owned as a kid, and I remember being ecstatic to pick it up. I still remember the drive home from the EB Games, which you'll never take away from me, GameStop. Canada will always have an EB Games. You can take that from my cold dead hands! And just sitting there, looking at the box in my hands, and just looking it over, and feeling so excited about having that 3DS. It was a brand new Nintendo handheld, when I got close to launch. Of course, getting it close to launch wasn't great. The library wasn't crazy at the launch, I remember goofing around a lot in Pilot Rings Resort, but honestly, a lot of my early 3DS memories come from, of all things, the AR cards. Often a forgotten part of the 3DS's functionality, I thought those things were so damn cool as a kid. And I still do. Just being able to look at things through my 3DS's camera, put my AR cards on my table, acting as if the characters were there, and just seeing them exist in the same space as me, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Sure, I didn't do anything crazy with it, but I just thought the AR cards were a lot of fun. I even bought that giant one Nintendo printed out during Club Nintendo's lifetime. And Face Raiders, that one was pretty good too. It's just cool to mess around with your own face, or with other people's faces, or ones you find online, or whatever. Honestly, for a pack-in title, it was a surprisingly fun time. But who could forget the eShop's opening? I still eagerly remember asking if I can use my parents' credit cards, offering to pay them back because I'd been working on my newspaper route so that I could buy Super Mario Land and Tetris off the Virtual Console. And those games were a lot of fun. The eShop was where I got to experience a bunch of games, old and new, for the very first time. And during my formative years as a teenager, that felt awesome. Just this endless amount of games at my fingertips. You'd think I'd mention a lot of the big names on the Virtual Console, stuff like Pokemon, or Metroid, or Mario's, but honestly, the Virtual Console games I enjoyed the most were always the smaller, oft-forgotten titles. I was grinding the hell out of Game Boy Gallery 2's Modern Helmet. My very high score is 205, So, pretty hot shit. But we can't forget the extensive list of exclusive eShop titles. You could just go on for a while about the amount of stuff on the eShop. Of course, I have many games I hold close to my heart on the 3DS, and a lot of memories I hold close. Smash 4 releasing, Pokemon Y, Super Mario 3D Land, Fire Emblem Awakening, Kid Icarus Uprising. I have tons of memories with all of these games, and they're all fantastic. But to me, no game comes close to touching my heart, to being so close to me, as Pokemon Sun did. A game that changed my life, that made me cry, that made me smile. It still does all these things, even now. It's a game that I always thank for helping me become the person I am now. Not just in stealing a character's name, but in seeing so much of the world around me, of being more aware of certain things, of getting to connect with people talking about this one game. Pokemon Sun did a lot for me, and I'll always be thankful for that. And the 3DS too. It's a console that means a lot to me because of how expansive it was. There were so many wonderful games to play, old and new. There were so many neat features like the themes and badges that got added and everything else, Miiverse, and a lot of my formative memories are on that thing. Even now, about, 5 3DS models later, I still have all my data from 2011 intact and still protected. And I hold that closer to my heart than anything else. Though my old 3DS model might be gone, the heart essentially still lives on in that newer 3DS model, and I like that a lot. So much of my life, so much of my growing up and experiencing so many series for the very first time, I owe that all to the Nintendo 3DS, and for that, it'll always be important for me.
I love the Nintendo 3DS. I've had one of these things for about 10 years of my life now, and I absolutely adore it. It's been such a huge part of my life. On Christmas 2013, I got a white Nintendo 3DS XL that had Mario Kart 7 pre-installed on it. I also got Super Mario 3D Land, Pokemon X, Luigi's Mansion 2, I think. But I played the hell out of all those games when I got it, and I really hold it close to me, that experience, playing all these new games. I'd previously had a DSi, and seeing how improved the graphics were and how everything was improved, like, it kind of blew me away. I remember fiddling around with Face Raiders and the camera app with all its weird filters and effects, and you know, I was like, I couldn't do this on my DSi. It was quite something. Throughout those 10 years, I've been playing my 3DS very consistently up until the Nintendo Network shut down, where I was like, I need to play Mario Kart 7. It was the first game I ever played online, and it's going to be the last one I ever play online on Nintendo Network. I had a clock next to me, and seeing it tick up to 1 AM, the impending doom, you know, like my childhood is ending. But, you know, seeing it close in front of my eyes and seeing it disappear, you know, like, you know, it was kind of sad. But, you know, it made me remember all the old other stuff that got discontinued and shut down. I remember Nintendo Video. I never really understood what it was or how it even really worked, but I'd occasionally get new videos on it, and then it kind of just ended. I remember Nintendo Anime Channel, which is where I watched a decent bit of Pokemon Indigo League before realizing Pokemon TV was even a thing. I also remember that YouTube existed on the 3DS, but I never really used it myself too much. But I had it installed because I thought it was kind of funny that YouTube existed on the 3DS. It was kind of funny to me for some reason, but occasionally I'd boot it up and take a little look and watch a video on it and then close it for another year or two, and then it kind of just shut down, and I was like, okay. The browser still worked for a while there, but I think that even stopped working too nowadays. And one thing I'm really sad shut down, specifically alongside Nintendo Network, was the Badge Arcade. Because I remember playing that almost daily at one point, getting the free plays and then getting the practice catcher free plays and trying to get 100% on certain collections, but after Nintendo Network was planning to shut down, they stopped rotating all of the different sets, and I kind of just stopped playing after that. But now it's gone, and you can't even like shuffle through your badges anymore, and you have to mod with that. But it's a shame because I got a lot of badges. I got over 1,000, and I can't even use all of them because they're kind of just gone now. But yeah, that was a pretty harsh casualty, I think, because I enjoyed Badge Arcade. It was neat. It was fun. I managed to nab a couple of the themes that they would rotate with before the server shut down. I wanted to get a couple to remember it by, and I had a couple funds left on my account which I wasn't going to do anything with, so I bought a couple free plays just for the themes, just so I could have something to take with me when the servers shut down for it. I guess speaking of themes too, I remember the theme shop opening kinda late, and I remember browsing it a decent amount just to see if I could hunt down anything free, which wasn't very often, but I did use my Nintendo a lot just to get silver points, and then get a bunch of themes from that for free. So I nabbed all of the exclusive themes, and I felt very accomplished after that. But I remember like seeing a lot of the themes and feeling like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I never really bought a whole lot, and kind of same with the eShop in general. I didn't buy a whole lot. I browsed it a decent bit as a kid, but I never really got any demos, and I bought a couple of Virtual Console games. The main biggest thing for me though was the DSiWare, mainly because I transferred a lot of my DSiWare stuff and bought a couple that I didn't get on DSiWare over to the 3DS. That was like the biggest thing for me. But honestly, like, for the past couple years, even before the storage closure, I was pretty much just getting update data at that point. I wasn't really getting a whole lot out of it, but I will miss the songs that they rotated out every now and then. I remember the song changing and being a bit confused, but yeah, you don't really get that nowadays with the Switch, and even the Wii U had rotating songs, but the 3DS I remember a lot more, and you don't get that anymore, and it's kind of sad to see there's only going to be one song on the eShop now because it's technically closed. I've had a 3DS since 2013, but I upgraded to a new 3DS and transferred all of my data over with the system transfer because that white 3DS that I got broke and would only turn on properly if you held it up at a certain angle. So when I got a new unit, I sellotaped the screen in like a certain position and then prayed that it wouldn't fall over to do a system transfer, and ever since then my PAL SNES 3DS Special Edition has been a thing I've been gaming on for many years, and with how precious that is, I have not wanted to mod it. I've kept it fully stock and vanilla, but at the same time, you know, I want to be able to play online games again. So I got a 2DS, which I got for free from work, which was an absolute score because they were throwing it out. So I nabbed it and I modded it so I could play online games. So I've kept my vanilla 3DS sacred. It means too much to me. I didn't want to accidentally break it. I know it's hard to brick a console, but I've got too many damn childhood memories with that thing. I didn't want to do it. So I got a 2DS, and I used that for online homebrew and you know, Pretendo and all that good stuff. And that's kind of how I sit with the 3DS nowadays, really. I absolutely love every single second of that 3DS, but the 2DS has kind of gotten more use because I've been playing online games. But if it's a single player game or a new game that I bought, most likely I'm going to be playing on my 3DS because I need to keep the dream alive of that thing. My most recent endeavour of that has been Ever Oasis. That was a cute little RPG, and I don't really play RPGs too much. You know, I mostly play Pokemon, but nothing really outside of that. And Ever Oasis was a cute one, and I recommend it to anyone that's, you know, exploring the 3DS library, and it got me inspired to check out a bunch more games, so I'm gonna be exploring with that as time goes on.
Hey yo, Gabubu here, and it's my turn to talk about my 3DS experience I've had. So everything started in 2017 when I found videos on YouTube about the 3DS with its great features and games. I was so excited to get back then, but drama happened. My dad died that year, and I forgot about my plan of getting a 3DS. It's been years until I remember in 2022 or 2023 when I've seen it on Discord when voice chatting, showing their webcams with the 3DS. I didn't have a job back then, and I didn't finish high school yet. Until I got a job at the end of 2023, also finished high school, and ordered a cobalt blue Japanese 3DS console for around €100 on June 17, 2024. Once I got it on July 8th, I found that the battery had a fake capacity and the 3DS didn't charge until I dug a little bit more on eBay and found a new aftermarket battery with the real capacity and an external charger, which cost me around €70. and got a full refund from eBay instead of partial refund. So with that money, I bought a Wii U for the same price. Anyways, once I've got it, I streamed on Twitch how I modded the unit, and I think that's it. I dumped some games and put them on my 64GB SD card, and there we go, a fully modded console. But something was missing. I've got the console after the discontinuation of the Nintendo Network service. So that means all of the cool online features the 3DS had, which I'll go explain later, are missing. That's not a problem, you might say, because there's Pretendo. Excuse me? Yeah, I had bad reviews about Pretendo back then, even though I didn't own a Wii U or 3DS, and I still have even today. Yeah, I had to region change the 3DS from Japanese to Europe, because I'm a proud fucking Romanian out here. Yes, anyways, I installed Pretendo on it, I made an account, and all I can say is, it's not that bad as I thought, until I found the drawbacks. The support game list is very limited. All you get is Triforce Heroes, Morka 7 and Ironfall Invasion. Any other game are mostly not available for the public, but beta, which requires you to pay in order to achieve them, or it simply doesn't exist. And trust me, I found cool games on 3DS, and besides Mario Kart 7, there's also Tetris Ultimate, Animal Crossing New Leaf, Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, and so many games which are not available on Pretendo, or just haven't been released for ages. Another drawback is the Miiverse. Everyone knows that it was a good place for cringe jokes and so on. Well, you get the same vibe on Pretendo's version named Juxtaposition, but where's the yeah button? And why they replace it with the heart? What the fuck? Yeah, apparently you are kinda limited if you get a 3DS after the Nintendo network shut down. But who didn't say it ends here? Let's talk about the cool features the 3DS has. Street Pass and Sport Pass are cool and limited by Pretendo nowadays. But you get a cool list of games which you can play, even if those are not online multiplayer but local multiplayer, so you can bring your real life friends with their 3DS and play without connecting to the internet. And let's not forget about the 3D feature. With this slider from the right of the top screen, you can turn the screen from 2D to real 3D without using any special glasses. And you want to hear the most interesting feature of Nintendo? Backwards compatibility with Nintendo DS and DSi. Heck yeah, baby. If you have a real DS cartridge, you can pop it in the 3DS and play it as a regular DS. Or if you have a modded system, you can use Twilight Menu++, where you can keep your dumped games on your SD card. And about multiplayer, on DS, there are WinFi and WeLink WFC, both offering the same service for the Wii and DS with its own disadvantages and advantages. In conclusion, I cannot say that the 3DS is so limited after the discontinuation of the Nintendo network, and I have a feeling that Pretendo will bring more in the future, which requires more time and more reverse engineering. It's a great console with lots of cool games on board, and even more features than the regular Switch does. Themes, badges, 3D screens, stylus, and many more. A great console which will never die in my opinion, thanks to the homebrew community, where they bring everything back to life. If one of you developers watches this video, thank you for all of your cool projects. And I think that's one of my new experiences I had to share with you about my 3DS, which I love. Now I will pass the mic to the next person. So I was Gabubu and have a great day. See ya.
Yeah, what the hell is this?
That's the nostalgia meter. It fills up every time one of you talks about the 3DS.
What's it do when it's filled?
The magical.
Why don't you get the final person to talk and find out?
Oh, his ass is not getting up.
Well, when it fills up, it'll allow you to live in a world where the 3DS is still supported. Imagine all those memories you made, but now they never go away. Well, except for that guy over there. He'd be experiencing all that for the first time.
Hey,
Sounds boring.
What?
Listen, we all love the 3DS over here, but you do realize that there's more to life than just that, right?
Like girls.
the Wii.
Cross-dressing.
Hoarding VHS tapes of Thomas's The Tank Engine.
Well, if that's the case.
Okay, I know that you just woke up, but I need you to talk about 3DS right now, or our lives and the whole world as we know it will end.
Final Flash!
What the fuck? I remember I never particularly asked for the 3DS or sought it out, not because I didn't want one, but mostly because I wasn't very aware of just how many games were on it at the time. That made the year I got a 3DS XL far more memorable. I remember I got it in March of 2013 for my birthday, which happened to be the beginning of the Year of Luigi, which was a year that Nintendo dedicated to, well, Luigi. As such, my 3DS XL had a very cool silver color with a gold Mario and Luigi on the top, which looked absolutely amazing. I remember showing it off to all my friends and feeling so unique at the time. Not only that, but it came pre-installed with Mario and Luigi Dream Team, which was technically the first Mario game that I'd ever owned and seriously tried playing. It was awesome experiencing it for the first time, and I was blown away by the 3D capabilities of the 3DS. Seeing all the little battles pop out to me like I can actually touch the characters was something I'll never forget. Additionally, I got Mario Kart 7 bundled with the same 3DS, likely due to Luigi happening to be a character in the game, and qualifying it to be part of the Year of Luigi. I'll admit I clicked with this game far more than I did with Dream Team, probably because I'd already been a big fan of racing games on my old PS2. Racing around on Calamari Desert, flying through the mental breakdown that was Waluigi Pinball, and trying my best to unlock all of the characters ended up feeling hundreds of hours of playtime for me. I remember I specifically would use Luigi all the time just because I thought he was cooler than Mario for some reason. By far, though, my greatest memory when I got my 3DS for the first time was when I personally bought my first Pokemon game. On a whim, after I grew bored of both Mario-related games, I discovered there was a brand new, supposedly innovative Pokemon game that had just released, Pokemon X and Y. Supposedly using the 3DS's technology to create cool, fully modeled Pokemon battles, it sounded like something I'd be absolutely into. So I bought it with my dad's help, downloaded it, and genuinely played it for hours that same night. I don't remember being so hooked on a game in years, especially to the fact that I went in totally blind as to what Pokemon was even about. They weren't lying about the 3D features either, as with a flick of the 3DS slider, then every battle would pop out to you like they were really there. Or at least that's how it felt back then. Nowadays, of course, I notice how paper thin the 3D feature truly was, but it was still pretty cool to see at the time. Technology-wise, I was of course enamored with the 3D capabilities of the 3DS, but ultimately ended up not using it very much. Cool as it was, using the 3D slider would actually slow down whatever game you were played by a small but noticeable margin. While inconsequential in a game like Pokemon, it still made it annoying to suddenly be playing at 15 frames per second just because I made Charizard use Flamethrower. At the end of the day, I would generally just stick to the default 2D function. Many games afterward would seem to use the 3D feature less and less anyway, leaving it as more of an interesting gimmick than the main focus of the 3DS, which is sort of ironic given the system's name. Now, I got into many other games over the course of the years, ranging from Donkey Kong Country Returns to the Adventure Time game that released on the 3DS for some reason. I even tried out the Ocarina of Time port, though I never finished it due to the control scheme not clicking with me. However, I wanted to mention a specific game that I believe utilized the 3DS's abilities and buttons to its fullest potential, and that game being Kid Icarus Uprising. Uprising ended up being one of my absolute favorite games on the 3DS, and maybe of all time. The funny characters and flashy gameplay were easy enough to get me hooked, but it's how the game was played that was interesting. Normally the 3DS didn't have very many first-person games or even third-person games, likely due to the lack of a second thumbstick on the right side of the system. This made it hard to move the camera, at least unless you were Kid Icarus Uprising. Using the touchscreen, you could simultaneously aim at enemies while flicking your view around, leaving the movement to the thumbstick on the left, while you could also dodge by quickly flicking the stylus around. I've genuinely never seen any other game do this, and while it is very difficult to get used to at first, I think it pretty easily demonstrates just how versatile the 3DS system when it came to innovative game design, especially when it came to some of its competitors at the time. Nowadays, of course, the 3DS servers are offline, following the path of other consoles like the Wii U and the Wii. The battery on my 3DS XL, while still somewhat reliable, won't hold a charge for very long anymore, and it takes a while to start up. It probably didn't help that a friend of mine tried to hack it for me so I could install custom themes, but I digress. Now the system sits in a special case, filled with all the games I own for it, finally taking a long rest after a decade or so of play. It gave me such nice memories, and I'll always be thankful that I was lucky enough to have one.
Why do you want to trap us so bad? Like, we're really just a bunch of people rambling by the 3DS.
I'm glad you asked. Ever since the 3DS servers went down, I've been feeding off memories of people. A lot of people love to stay stuck in the past, and it's right feeding for me. But you people don't do that, and it greatly disturbs me.
So, we're just like 5 people out of like, what, a billion?
You don't seem to realize that you really piss me off. You're a YouTuber. Shouldn't you be milking the latest topics? It's a business these days. You should be conforming to the algorithm, moving to YouTube Shorts. Why be yourself when you can just be a fake version that appeals to everyone? It rakes in the cash, and more importantly, the views.
You think Gem is doing okay?
I'd love to know. If we weren't falling!
Goodbye, VHS tapes.
Goodbye, cross-dressing outfits.
Shit. Oh hey, you're alive!
Just get on the bag.
Hello, Android here. I don't need to do all that, I can fly. Besides, look, I've made sure that I was fully charged and stay up doing it all night doing some totally...
Get on the
Bag.
Well, it's been a fun time, but since you chose its path, it's gotta end.
He's gonna die.
He won't.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, hey Cyborg, can you broadcast a message to the world?
I have a name, you know, but I do probably have enough to get out a message. What do you need me to say?
Need I ask why you can just basically broadcast alert messages?
Attention, humanity! We need your power to save the Earth! If you do not comply with us right now, the world as we know it will be gone! So, if any of you have a 3DS, open it up and raise it to the sky! The 3DS will also be gone.
Impossible! Nintendo Network is long gone!
It's called Memories, bitch.